Hello, folks. It's the Black Hat. I hope everything's going well with you. Everything is going spectacular with me. I'm back with another episode. In this episode, I want to talk about an article from Infowars.com. I also want to talk about this thing, #Calexit. I guess the people from California want to secede from the Union. And so I want to just look at those two things today. The first thing I've got is an article from Infowars.com, and it's called Map Shows Sanctuary Cities, Islands of Blue in Sea of Red. Democrats take advantage of immigrants to vote blue. This is you can find this on Infowars.com, and basically an analyst for Infowars.com took the election map, the electoral map, by county, and then he overlaid on it all the points where there's a sanctuary city. Now, what's a sanctuary city? A sanctuary city is a municipal jurisdiction in the United States that has decided to violate federal law. And they say that illegal immigrants are safe within the city. And usually they do it. They provide sanctuary by not reporting these people in typical ways that they would be caught, which is routine traffic stops, routine law violations like vagrancy or jaywalking, or even up to solicitation and things like that. Some nonviolent crimes that the police look for. They would typically, if they were stopped and found to be illegal, then the deportation process may start. Now, I have no faith that Immigration and Naturalization would actually start a deportation process because of this, but it's supposed to start. It's supposed to at least be reported. So in a sanctuary city, if an illegal immigrant is discovered, they're not reported. They are allowed to stay. They're allowed to go about their business. Maybe they have to pay the fine or whatever. Some sanctuary cities will even issue official IDs to these people, picture IDs, so that it looks like they're legal. And it's shown, if you look at the map, that the places where there are sanctuary cities, those counties go blue. Those counties or cities or whatever, the voting districts go blue. And in the places where there aren't sanctuary cities, there's not nearly as much blue. There are just a few that I see on the map that are red, but in general, anywhere there's a sanctuary city, the map turns blue. And this is important because some of these places may not require ID to vote. I live in Ohio, and I voted in Delaware County, Ohio, and when I went to the voting booth, I had to show ID. The lady actually scanned my driver's license, the barcode on my driver's license. It came up with my name. She compared it to the registration that she had in the system, and then she produced a slip of paper that was given to the poll worker called an authority to vote, and then the poll worker inserted a box into the polling booth, and that box contained my ballot, because they did 3 different precincts at my polling place. So it had the ballot for my precinct. And then the ballot came up and I voted, and I watched very closely. My vote didn't change, and the machine had a window in it where you could see that it was printing a receipt. Every time you voted a certain thing, it would print it down so they could go back and have a paper ballot if the machines broke or if the power went out or whatever. I went to the Sarah Palin rally at the Delaware County field office for Trump, and I met someone there, and she said that she voted in Franklin County, which is where Columbus, Ohio is, and wonder of wonders, I had to go through showing my ID and proving who I was. She was able to vote with no ID. She said she showed up the poll with her driver's license out, fully ready to present her ID, and the poll worker said, "What are you doing? You don't have to show ID." Now, I'm 99% sure that requirement to show voter ID in Ohio is not county by county. So Franklin County, that shows, and it's only anecdotal, maybe it was just this poll worker didn't know the rules. I'm willing to concede that, but Franklin County, it looks like, was involved in some voter fraud, probably bussing in, typically what happens, bussing in union workers, bussing in college students, no ID. And the other thing that's a little spooky for me, if I didn't have to show ID, is that in Ohio you can go on the state website and you can type in your full name if you have your first and last name, and mine's a common one. I call myself the Black Hat, but my full name is common. And if I would type that in, it comes up with my name, it comes up with my address, it comes up with my voting precinct. Now, if I didn't have to show ID, then I could just go to whatever fucking voting precinct I could find people's names. No ID required. Say, I'm Joe Blow, show up and vote. And then I could go to the next precinct and say, I'm Joe Blow. And if Joe Blow hasn't voted already, I could show up and vote. This is why an ID is required. Now, it wasn't Mark Dice, but it was some other person that does man on the street kinds of things. And he went out and on the street and he asked college students why it was racist to not have an ID. Now, these people said, basically they said, and it was extremely racist. Look it up on YouTube. I don't know what the video was called, but I know I saw it on YouTube a couple of days ago. They said things that were extremely racist. They said, black people aren't going to know how to find the DMV. Black people aren't going to know how to use a computer. Black people aren't going to have internet access. What? These white people were being extremely racist. They were saying these things. Black people won't have internet access. Black people won't be able to find the DMV. Black people don't know how to use a computer and don't have access to a computer. In 2016. So the guy went into, I think it was the Bronx. It was either the Bronx or Harlem. I think it was the Bronx. And he started interviewing black people and he said, do you have internet access? And they all looked at him like he was fucking insane. Of course I have internet access. Of course I know how to use a computer. Of course I know where the DMV is. Two of the people that he interviewed even said exactly the same freaking corner, which is where the DMV is in their area. So they knew where the DMV was. And then he asked them, do you have picture ID? And most of them showed it to him. In fact, one lady only had her phone, and then inside the cover of the phone, her picture ID, and that's all she had. Her picture ID and her phone. She said, this is all I left the house with, was my phone, which I use as a hotspot, and my picture ID. So anybody can get ID. The people that can't get ID are the kinds of people that Democrats want voting. If you require an ID, then dead people won't be able to vote. If you require an ID, then the Teamsters won't be able to get their illegal voting buses together in order to take people from pole to pole and have them vote multiple times. There was a report out of Maricopa County, Arizona. They caught 9 illegals in a van that were being bussed from voting district to voting district. And one of them was asked what he was doing, and he said in broken English, he said, I'm voting for Hillary many times today. This is the kind of voter fraud that occurs. And yes, I guess I'm a conspiracy theorist. I guess I don't really know. I'm just making it up, even though the reports are on the street. We should have ID to vote. And that's why these the places where they have these sanctuary cities are concerning. They vote blue. All around the sanctuary city, they vote blue. Why is that? My guess is either people come there and get sanctuary, and then the relatives that they have with them vote, the legal relatives vote, or they're allowing illegals as well as legals to vote. I mean, Obama said that if you vote, then you're a citizen. I thought being a citizen, it's the chicken and the egg thing, but I think in this case it's pretty easy to see which came first. I'm a citizen, therefore I can vote. Not I voted, therefore I'm a citizen. You fucking dumbass. I voted, therefore I'm a citizen. So if you can find some place that'll let you vote illegally, then you're a U.S. citizen, and I guess you should be given amnesty. No. In general, illegals don't make a lot of money. They take a lot of welfare. They need to be sent back where they came from. And then they need to go through the legal process to become American citizens. If you give them amnesty, then you reward their illegal behavior. And I'm wearing a reason hat. I'm a libertarian. I have no problem with, you could throw the borders wide open if you didn't give these people welfare. If welfare wasn't available to them, I would have no problem with letting anybody in this country that wanted to come. But we give them welfare. We allow them to come, and we give them free stuff. The government forcibly takes my shit and gives it to someone who's here illegally, and I find that absurd. So I would have no problem with free and open borders if it came with the opportunity to create a fortune, not the opportunity to pick my pocket. Let's talk about CalExit for just a second. I guess that's a hashtag that's trending on Twitter or somewhere where retarded social justice warriors congregate. Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, where they congregate. So these people are shedding hashtag liberal tears all over the place right now because they can't stand that Donald Trump won. They can't stand that the Electoral College, which is set up to allow states that have less population to have a fighting chance against states that have more population, prevailed in this case and handed the presidency to someone that has less of the popular vote. So if we just did popular vote, you may as well allow California, New York State, and Illinois to elect your president. Because that's what would happen. LA, New York, and Chicago would be the places where all the votes come from, and they would elect the president. Wyoming wouldn't matter. In the Electoral College situation, it shows that we are a representative republic, so their votes matter. Now, that brings me to CalExit. If you slice off California, which I absolutely have no problem doing, it wouldn't bother me if California sliced itself off at the San Andreas Fault and slid into the ocean. We'd get rid of a cesspool at that point, a hive of scum and villainy, if you will, and it would just slide off into the fucking ocean and be no more. I'd have no problem with it. The only problem I would have there is all the innocent people who would die. So what I really hope California does is secede, go back to being the Golden Bear Republic, secede from the Union, and then the Democrats lose 55 electoral votes, and never again will a Democrat president be elected, because California wouldn't be part of the United States. 55 surefire Democrat electoral votes that we have to overcome as Republicans and conservatives. We have to overcome 55 electoral votes right off the bat, because that California will be blue. You just know it. California, I don't think, has been red since Reagan. 29 electoral votes in New York State are going to be blue. So we have to overcome those right off the bat. Right off the bat. So if California left, I'd have no problem with it. Just be the Golden Bear Republic again, set up some trade negotiations with the United States, pull back our military bases, let them make their own, let them house their own people, let them give their own people Medicare and Medicaid, let them give their own people free college, let them do what they want to do as their own country, and leave us out of it. And Furthermore, they don't get 55 electoral votes in the United States the United States presidential election, and there wouldn't be 2 senators and 53 representatives from California. The country would be far better off without California. Far better off. And you should just give people, the only thing I would say to make it work is you could give people the choice to stay there with a visa as U.S. citizens who have lived there but don't want to secede with you, and they could still be part of your country, just like my wife is a permanent resident alien, not a citizen, so she doesn't vote, but she still pays taxes, something like that. But California not being part of the union, I'm all for it. You want to leave California? There's the door. Don't let it hit your ass on the way out. And I wouldn't care, because we would be electing conservative, constitutional people to Congress. And I think that not having California in the fucking mix would help us really drain the swamp. This has been the Black Hat. I really appreciate you listening. I hope this video has been a little less boring, since you can see my face, and maybe you didn't really want to see my face. I mean, I'm an ugly neckbeard, but the face sometimes makes things a little more interesting. And once again, Santuary Cities and Calexit. Sanctuary cities should be no more. We should get rid of these people. Those cities that think that they can overturn federal law just because they say it's my jurisdiction are wrong. It's a federal crime these people have committed. They need to be deported. They need to stop sucking Uncle Sam's tits dry. And if California wants to secede, there's the door. Have a great day. This has been the Black Hat. You can find me at theblackhat.me, and from there you can find out ways to subscribe to the podcast, and you can also find out ways to subscribe to me on Google Play, and it also has links to YouTube and a few written articles that I've collected from the web or I've written myself. Theblackhat.me. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.